Peter Whittle's joined the debate, Deputy Leader of UKIP, as well as one of the two London Assembly members. Welcome to you. How do you think we're going to meet, I mean, construction sector is the one we focused on there, going to meet the needs of the economy if we or without EU workers?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's always been the position of my party that EU citizens who are here and working here and settled here should absolutely stay. I think that this is very bad of the government and Theresa May to basically put people in that position where they're like political pawns. So we absolutely think people should be allowed to stay.
But otherwise, she loses her negotiating position, doesn't she? She has to be careful with the, the rights of
I don't think you should use people in that way. I mean, I think that we've never deviated from that. That basically, when Brexit comes, that people should basically be allowed to stay. But I think that the main problem really is, particularly in the construction industry, as we were talking about there, is that there is a massive skills gap. And, the sort of things that have been coming out of City Hall this week, somehow or other wants to kick this tin along the road. It basically says, well, yes, we do have a skills gap and we must look at that. But for the time being, we need these workers. Well, I would say, basically, London's population has grown by 25% in 2 decades. If you bring more people in to build more houses, where are these people going to live? Where are they going to live? Probably they'll end up living in appalling conditions, as we've often seen.
So what happens then? What are you saying? What are you arguing should happen? You'd say the construction workers, the people that were settled here now from the EU, they would stay.
Absolutely,
they brought the skills.
Yes.
But there's a natural churn, and there are people that come for a short term and then go.
Yeah.
You would put controls on that. But all the indicators from groups in London and business groups is that that will lead to serious problems in terms of the sector and construction if you do that. Or what arrangements would you put in place to allow more to come in, or would you say no more?
No, I think the point is here is that time and again we hear this. I go back to what I just said. We seriously need to train people who are here to.
So you would say no more, in other words?
No, I think that might not necessarily be the case. I mean, again, what we are saying as a party is we would have a point system.
Fine.
For example, so if you need certain skills, then you need certain skills. That's the beauty of a point system. The problem is that the Prime Minister so far and the government have not really said anything about how they plan to control migration or otherwise.
Well, just to take out that point of a point system, because of course it was a point system that Labour introduced in terms of a sort of migration strategy, not in relation to the EU. But what would be wrong? Is that what you accept is what we would need now?
Well, I'm just genuinely confused by all these Brexiteers jumping through hoops about how we don't really mean it about these EU workers. Of course we want them to stay, but when you actually ask for commitments, then they're not forthcoming. And people are voting with their feet now because of the real uncertainty. 1 in 6 people in my constituency comes from one of the 27 EU, and so every weekend when I knock on doors, that's the #1 issue, and people are really scared and worried, and understandably they're not making that commitment to this country. It's not just
what are they scared or worried about? Because if they've been here quite a long time, they'll be applying for residence.
That's not. I mean, come with me one weekend, and you'll see the real fear and concern and despair that people have, that they feel they're not wanted in this country anymore, and that can be professional people in the tech industry, it can be construction workers, it can be people in the hospitality industry.
As a Remain, and you voted to Remain, but Tanya, you're nodding during part of that. Do you agree the uncertainty needs to be resolved?
Absolutely. Like Andy, it is upsetting when you have EU nationals, and I had a surgery with one of our MEPs to reassure people, and they come from all sectors: construction, the care sector, science sector, creativity sector. These are all sectors where we want EU nationals to continue to come and work here as well. It's for our benefit. And the sadness is that the people that I've met do have a right to remain, but they're still concerned.
And on the ones that you want to encourage to come in future, how would you do it? What is it? Is it a work permit? Is it a points-based system you want to see? Is it a work permit? Is there an argument for a regional London work permit system?
I'm happy. I mean, I see it sector by sector. I'm happy for a system where we get people where there's ease of people coming in. Remember, we do have a problem for science of recruiting people from overseas. We want to make it as simple, non-bureaucratic. It's the practicality I'm more concerned about.
All right. Well, I'll come on to that, both of you, in a second on that. But Andy, now we are where we are, and you're someone that voted for Remain. What do you want to see in place now?
I do want to see more people trained in this country, but I've got a fantastic further education college, Hamilton Fulham College, in my constituency, that trains people very well in construction skills. They're massively downsizing because their budgets have been cut. We are going to need migrant labour, EU labour, which is a quarter of all the construction workers in London, and UK workers are only half, so the other quarter are from other countries around the world. We are going to need them for the foreseeable future. And I'm afraid that listen to parties like UKIP, who have created this climate of fear and got us into this situation, now crying crocodile tears about it. It's a disgrace, quite frankly.
No,
and that somehow
you're
we're going to be able to find
the wrong argument with the wrong person. First of all, we have always said as a party, I couldn't
You're
be
a UKIP representative, aren't you?
Yes, I am indeed, and we have
Your
always...
party is responsible for creating this climate.
This country voted to leave the EU. You cannot come to terms with that. That is as simple as that. That is why you're so angry. Right? My party has always said that people from the EU who live and are settled here absolutely remain. We have never deviated from that. And if the government chooses to basically cause indecision and cause uncertainty for people, then basically that is their fault and you should be directing it at them, not at us.
Peter?
Secondly, the other point I would make is that...
Not my fault.
Good. Very quickly, wrap up. We're running out of time.
Absolutely not. But I think that
the hypocrisy.
It is not hypocrisy at all.
Make a second
you just simply can't accept that. The fact
Final
is, as well, is that sooner or later we have got to seriously start training people here to do the jobs that at the moment we are bringing people in to do.
That point you've made. Peter Whittle, though, thanks very much indeed for coming in.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.